Tonight, savage storms strike the southeast, causing widespread blackouts, wind and hail damage and rail disruptions. Traffic chaos as the wild weather opens up a sinkhole on Coronation Drive. Outrage as the chief barley bomb maker walks free after serving just half his sentence. Explosive new claims, cricket bosses ordered players to cheat. David Warner goes to war. Shoppers urged to be patient this Christmas. Thousands of retail jobs still up for grabs as the staff shortage bites. And secrets of the deep, a marine surprise uncovered off the Queensland coast.
Live from Brisbane, 7 News with Max Butcher.
Good evening. We're finally starting to cool down in the southeast with powerful storms breaking the heat wave. It wasn't as extreme as predicted, but still there was hail that rivaled cricket balls in size after another day of unrelenting heat.
Icy grenades almost the size of cricket balls. A storm cell sweeping the southeast this afternoon. As hailstones peppered homes at Cherbourg and Woodford, overnight savage storms lashed the southeast. 250,000 lightning strikes were recorded, cutting power across Brisbane and the Sunshine Coast.
We had 23,000 customers impacted.
At Nambour, an unexpected wake-up call.
Dad's 92 and he was asleep in bed, and a bit after midnight heard this crack and got up and come out, and here's a tree in the kitchen. But he went back to bed and continued on sleeping.
As winds gusted over 80 kilometres an hour on the Sunshine Coast.
Now, they've kind of kept a lid on temperatures this morning, but the sun's coming out and we're likely to see those temperatures again really spike up.
Probably about 45 degrees up there.
Roof insulation and pool cleaning is in high demand.
Especially with school holidays.
On the Gold Coast, there were packed shores as the waves brought cool relief.
Have you enjoyed your trip down here so far?
Yeah.
But not everyone is coping as well. Vets have seen a spike in admissions.
50% of dogs that present with heat stress do die.
The hottest place in the state was Camberwell, reaching 43.8 degrees around 2 o'clock. Longreach was 42.8, Gayndah 37.5, 36.7 for Amberley, while it was a cooler 30.2 on the Gold Coast Seaway and 29.6 in Brisbane. Maximums are forecast to dip back into the 20s over the coming days before Monday brings with it a return to temperatures well over 30 degrees.
So a hot few days on the way, particularly for Western and Northern Queensland.
Preparing for a brief cool change. Well, Max, last night's severe weather is still having a major impact on all southeast Queensland train lines. There are delays of up to 90 minutes following a lightning strike at Bowen Hills. That's since been fixed, but the delays are continuing. Buses have been arranged for the Doomben lines between Eagle Junction and Doomben Station. A freight train breakdown on the Cleveland line is also disrupting travel in both directions. Rail replacement buses will run there between Park Road and Murray stations. Queensland Rail says all passengers will get home this evening. They're just likely to be very late, Max.
All right, thank you, Jordan. So, Tony Auden, where are the biggest storms at the moment?
Well, Max, it's all clearing away from the southeast, but we do still have warnings remaining for other parts of the state. Now, here we can see the last of the cells clearing the Sunshine Coast earlier this afternoon, with the main activity now up towards Gympie and Rainbow Beach, and severe storm warnings remain current in this yellow area here. Also extending further north and inland, including Gayndah, Gladstone and a separate pocket further north at Hewenden. Damaging winds and large hail are still the main threats, while the storm risk now looks to be over for much of the southeast. Of course, we cool down from tomorrow. Max, I'll be back soon with the forecast.
Thanks, Tony. Council is investigating whether wild weather caused a sinkhole on Coronation Drive, turning one of Brisbane's busiest roads into a car park during peak hour this morning and reopening just in time to avoid afternoon commuter chaos.
A piece of Coronation Drive crumbling away, a sinkhole slowing traffic for 10 hours. Cars this morning crawling.
Well, it's awful, obviously. It's unusual at this time of day.
There's never usually traffic around here. Today is specifically really bad.
After a motorist discovered the ditch at 4 a.m.
Look, it wasn't a huge hole in some respects, so we wouldn't have lost any cars or anything down there.
Still, council crews shut down 3 lanes, diverting traffic through Sylvan Road and Land Street, with only buses allowed through.
The ditch appeared around 1.5 metres deep, but crews dug down a further 3 metres to find the source of the sinkhole.
A crack in an under-road culvert that protects Coronation Drive from Brisbane River's tides. Water slowly eroding the road from underneath. Council is investigating whether storms overnight sped up the process.
Once the tide goes down, the engineers will stick the cameras up there through the piping. They won't need to go back through the road at this point.
Reopening the road this afternoon just before rush hour. Much to motorists' relief. Georgie Chumley, 7 News.
And northbound M1 motorists on the Gold Coast have been plagued by long delays after a cement truck tipped over at the off-ramp near Oxenford. Emergency crews were called just before 3 p.m. to find the overturned truck blocking both exit lanes. The off-ramp is expected to remain closed for some time while clean-up is underway. The truck driver was taken to hospital in a serious but stable condition. Australian survivors of the deadly Bali terror attack have been shocked by the early release of the chief bomb maker responsible for the deaths of more than 200 people. Umar Patek served just over half his sentence and claims he's reformed, but his victims don't believe it.
His final moments as a prisoner, a ceremony to mark his graduation from jail, complete with certificate. Red-bearded Umar Patek, known as the Demolition Man, Bali's master bomb maker. They even gave a fist pump to mark the moment and interviews. I feel grateful to Allah and the Indonesian government, he said, for granting me remission. The 2002 bombing killed over 200 people, 88 were Australian. The car bomb built by Patek, who was sentenced to 20 years but has served only 10. His Australian victims appalled.
If we're not outraged by that, what are we going to be outraged about?
Just imagine if we killed 202 Indonesians in Australia, what would happen over here?
I got a life sentence. He hasn't even served half of his.
Andrew Kasabi lost a leg. He's in disbelief.
No, I'm not satisfied with that. So I think I'm turning my views back to wanting a death penalty.
56-year-old Patek was granted both parole and 33 months off for good behaviour. Indonesia calls him a model prisoner. I'm committed to helping the government with its de-radicalisation program, he said. Peter Hughes, with burns to 50% of his body, doesn't believe a word of it.
I was in that courtroom 10 years ago. I saw that guy face to face. He could go back into the fold and start re-educating people to do exactly the same thing.
The Department of Foreign Affairs has repeatedly lobbied the Indonesian government about the impact that Patek's release will have on victims and Australia's memory of the Bali bombings. Now it's seeking assurances that he be kept under constant supervision and surveillance. The Home Affairs Minister was recently in Indonesia.
I'm not going to explain the discussions I had, but I can just tell you that the Australian government has put in the strongest possible terms our views about what has occurred.
But the victims say the government's response was weak.
I'm so disappointed with our government's response this morning.
Our soft approach to Indonesia isn't on in terms of where I stand.
And the timing couldn't be more awkward for Indonesia. As Patek walked free yesterday, a suicide bomber walked into a West Java police station and blew himself up. 1 killed, 11 injured. He'd been recently released from prison on terror charges, just like Patek. Chris Reason, 7 News.
There's an explosive new twist in the Sandpaper Gate scandal, with allegations Australian cricket executives told the team to cheat. The claims surfaced after David Warner declared war on the game's leadership.
As David Warner was preparing to head into the middle of the Adelaide Oval, his manager was delivering a bouncer. Speaking on radio, James Erskine said the Aussies were ordered to cheat by cricket bosses after a thumping loss to South Africa in 2016.
Warner said that we've got to reverse swing the ball, and the only way we can reverse swing the ball is basically by tampering with it. So they were told to do it.
Erskine hinting at more bombshells to come.
When the truth comes out, everyone's going to turn around and say, well, why was David Warner picked up on?
Cricket Australia tonight not responding to the explosive allegations.
The integrity of our great sport of cricket was in question, and nothing's changed since.
Erskine defending his client, who's knocked back a chance to ever lead his country again. Today, 3 steps behind his captain, but a lifetime away from the captaincy. Warner pulled out of a leadership review hearing into the Sandpapergate scandal after it was going to be made public, saying, "I am not prepared for my family to be the washing machine for cricket's dirty laundry."
It's not cricket's dirty laundry. It's David Warner's dirty laundry.
Warner's teammates tonight rallying around him.
He's keen just to move on, get on with playing cricket, and he's like he always is. He's awesome around the boys.
Cricket Australia remain tight-lipped on the issue of Warner's leadership today and will be hoping that it doesn't overshadow what's happening on the pitch. Coincidentally, the marquee matchup of the summer is a series against South Africa, the first time the two nations have met in a test match since the whole saga began.
What remains at large is the basic truth around what happened on that test match.
Liam Tapper, 7 News.
It could be months before police solve the mystery of human remains uncovered in the garage of an orderly unit complex. They'd been there for months. Residents have told 7 News they're shocked by the discovery.
A duffel bag, now evidence, packed in a paper bag and taken away by forensic officers.
It does make you feel uncomfortable, that realising somebody's been down this long underneath without anybody realises.
The parking garage of an orderly unit complex still heavily guarded by police after human remains were discovered by contract cleaners yesterday.
I've just been out for the day and I came home and there were police everywhere. I was like, far out, what's happening here?
Tightly wrapped in plastic, buried beneath bedding and clothing, investigators say the body had been there for months.
It would be devastating. I would not want to be one of those ladies or gentlemen that found that body.
Alan Batsloff says he heard an altercation between a resident and visitor 5 months ago where one man was threatening another.
Two guys out of heat of the moment arguing, people say silly things, and didn't think much of it afterwards until yesterday.
Police are still working to formally identify the remains, saying in these circumstances the process is lengthy and incredibly complicated. Investigators are appealing to anyone who knows of any suspicious activity in the orderly area in the last few months to come forward.
To a developing story now. Anna McGraw, police have also found a bone at Carina.
Max, police from the dive squad looking for missing man Joshua Mao have found an unidentified bone in a creek here at Carina. The 22-year-old, he's from Sunnybank and he's been missing since January. Now, police have been searching the Bulimba Creek area after he was last seen at Carindale today, narrowing their search area down here to Fursden Road. Max, it's unclear at this stage whether the bone that has been found today is human.
All right, thank you, Anna. Energy ministers have agreed to a landmark plan to get more renewables into the energy market to avoid another power crisis. A deal will be finalised tomorrow to cap coal and gas prices and help struggling households.
On the way into the Energy Ministers' meeting, a surprise concession.
New South Wales is willing to forego any royalties. This is not about royalties, this is all about consumers.
Offering to give up $100 million in royalties to help fund a solution to skyrocketing power bills, a day before National Cabinet meets to consider price caps on coal and gas.
In some ways, this is a complex task, but in some ways it's very simple. We've got to protect Australian industry, we've got to protect Australian consumers.
The New South Wales government agrees, willing to take a hit to its coffers, but like the Queensland government, wanting households protected.
If there are impacts on the taxpayers of New South Wales, there needs to be compensation. I've made that very clear.
A new report from the ACCC Consumer Watchdog today says 6 electricity retailers have gone to the wall since May, reducing competition, warning that coal and gas prices and power bills are likely to remain high until at least 2024. The Energy Ministers' meeting was looking beyond the current crisis, agreeing to a so-called capacity mechanism to encourage more electricity supply from renewables.
And what's the capacity mechanism? It's a keeping the lights on mechanism.
A mechanism that will now favour guaranteed electricity supply from renewable sources, redirecting subsidies away from fossil fuels.
Today I'm very pleased to announce that Coal Keeper is dead.
And now the leaders will tackle the problem of electricity bill creeper.
We are very close to landing a deal.
Everyone lending a hand to ensure the whole thing doesn't fall over. Mark Riley, 7 News.
There were heated scenes outside the Watch House when alleged bikies accused of a horrific home invasion were released on bail. Both prosecution and defence agree the allegations of violence inflicted upon the two victims are extremely serious.
He's covering his face, but we can't show you anyway.
Did you beat and torture 2 people?
This man is one of 6 alleged bikies accused of a savage, prolonged attack. A group of alleged Logan City bandidos aged between 19 and 22 are accused of a torturous invasion, ransacking a Marsden home armed with baseball bats and machetes on the night of July 6, demanding drugs, threatening to gang rape and physically beating a man and woman in a case of what police say was mistaken identity. It's claimed one of the victims shared a similar name with a man the group was allegedly searching for. Detectives say the victims were too frightened to speak until recently, as violence was threatened in the days after the attack and the trauma was too profound. They were arrested yesterday after a lengthy investigation.
Place thumbs up.
A day later, 4 are back in the community. The group's alleged offending includes attempted rape, meaning we can't reveal their identity, also facing torture, armed robbery and deprivation of liberty charges.
Definitely very serious. The allegations are concerning, but again, it will be a matter that's going to take some time. As the magistrate said, it's circumstantial.
Were you part of a violent home invasion in Marsden? 4 of the men were granted bail late this afternoon with strict conditions. The matter will return to court in the new year. Sally Guyot, 7 News.
A year-long investigation into the Bradfield scheme has found the water diversion project is not feasible. The drought-proofing plan would move water from northern Queensland south and west for irrigation. The review cost taxpayers $1.39 million, only to reach the same conclusion as the previous 4 studies.
There was simply not enough water. The cost of this project would certainly be well in excess of $30 billion.
The state government will instead consider other new water infrastructure projects. Medibank will shut down its stores, IT systems and customer contact centres this weekend as it overhauls its online security. The move comes after Russian hackers stole personal data from millions of Australians.
The scene of Australia's biggest data heist, Medibank's virtual vaults looted by Russian crooks.
As a Medibank customer, I think it's absolutely disgraceful what's happened.
2 months since the breach, customers will suffer again. An unprecedented company shutdown starting 8:30 tomorrow night and continuing all weekend. Storefronts to be closed, websites offline, apps suspended, while foreign security experts from Microsoft run a repair and reboot operation.
It just shows how significant an overhaul their systems need, and maybe even how poor they were to begin with.
And the insurer's not the only victim. New data from Australia's biggest cybersecurity firm has found that Medibank was just one of 16 Australian companies subject to an extortion-style attack last month.
The most we've seen in the last 18 months, and we've seen 12 separate cybercrime groups carry out those activities.
No sector is spared, from engineering to education, the finger pointing squarely at Russia, with at least one of last month's attacks from China.
We've genuinely now got the best minds on the problem.
From the Commonwealth, a new cyber security strategy with a 7-year plan to make Australia an unbreakable vault.
Hunting down people who would seek to do us harm and hacking back.
Tom Hartley, 7 News.
Wrestling and throwing punches on a rooftop. Next, high emotion as 2 tradies trade blows. A man who inspired a nation named Time Magazine's Person of the Year. Brisbane Airport's new Christmas lounge. The top holiday travel tips. And later, water myths busted. The new advice on how much you really need to drink. The search for the body of a Queensland man has been called off by authorities in the US following a deadly light plane crash. Christian Cath, his wife Misty and daughter Lily were killed when their aircraft crashed off the Florida coast on the weekend. Their other daughter, who was at a sleepover at the time, is now on her way back to Australia to live with grandparents in Brisbane. A GoFundMe set up for the family has so far raised nearly $3,000. A wild brawl has erupted between 2 tradies working on a roof. The pair exchanged blows before one of the men fell 3 metres onto the concrete below.
You shouldn't be having a fight anywhere. You shouldn't be having a fight at work. It's pretty bad. Yeah, it's pretty unsafe, I must say.
44-year-old remains in hospital in a stable condition. Time magazine has recognised Ukraine's president and his people, awarding them Person of the Year. Volodymyr Zelensky joins a historic list that includes his sworn enemy.
Applause for the people who continue to turn back a superpower. Time puts Volodymyr Zelensky on its cover. This Person of the Year choice, says its editor, the most clear-cut in memory. The president who refused to run, even as other presidents warned him if he didn't, he'd die.
A lot of leaders called me by phone and told me that you have to go, you have to ride, you have to run.
Kyiv's comic actor turned president has coaxed the world, Australia included, to arm Ukraine as a champion of freedom everywhere. Time's title given as well to the country's 43 million people, the spirit of Ukraine.
Person of the Year into the Time cover magazine is probably the biggest recognition any global leader can get.
Russia's Vladimir Putin would know. He won Person of the Year in 2007. Time says it chooses those who wield the most influence, good or bad. On this year's award, the UK Prime Minister has no doubt it's a good choice. Tim Lester, 7 News.
Travellers passing through Brisbane Airport will be able to feel festive before they even take off for holidays. A Christmas lounge is now open for kids. There'll be festive flicks, a photo booth, carolers and even Santa. Retailers in the domestic terminal will also be giving away gift bags. The busiest days to travel are expected to be the 15th, 16th, 21st, 22nd and 23rd of December. Some top travel tips: book airport parking well in advance, arrive 90 minutes before a domestic flight, and pack your patience. Workers want it now, a summer staffing struggle. Next, the business is crying out for Christmas casuals. A Queensland mum who helped her son sail away after a cocaine bust fesses up. The royal linked to a violent plot to overthrow a government. And it's a long way from home. After sport, the rare whale spotted off Cairns. It sounds like a Hollywood plot, a mother helping her son flee the law and escape the country. It happened here in Queensland and landed Elizabeth Ann Turner in serious trouble. The 68-year-old today pleading guilty in court.
A mother's love became her undoing. Elizabeth Ann Turner lived a law-abiding life until her son Marcus Turner, a Mackay mining boss, was arrested and charged in 2011, accused of conspiring with drug lords to start a cocaine empire.
Will your son be returning to Australia?
Turner put up a $450,000 surety for her son's bail, who fled Australia 1 month before he was due to face trial in 2015 in a yacht she had purchased. She withdrew cash for her son and helped his family leave the country before going on to lie and say he had committed suicide.
Why did you lie about your son being dead?
She was charged, convicted at trial, won the right to a retrial, then decided not to go ahead, instead pleading guilty to attempting to prevent the course of justice and false testimony. Today, her actions were described as appallingly misplaced. The consequences of this have come to haunt you in every way possible. These offences strike at the heart of the administration of justice, and the proof is in the pudding. You have enabled your son to flee the jurisdiction, and he has still not been returned.
Turner was given a head sentence of 3 years jail, but after spending 302 days in custody, she was allowed to walk free. Do you regret lying about your son's death?
The judge warning her not to contemplate breaking the law again as authorities try to extradite her son. Rosanna Kingson, 7 News.
An aristocratic prince and a judge are among dozens of people arrested over a plot to overthrow the German government. Authorities say the far-right extremists were inspired by American conspiracy theorists and plan to storm the parliament.
Nighttime raids across Germany as 3,000 officers, including anti-terror police, swoop on a terror cell. 25 people arrested, including Heinrich XIII, Prince Royce, a 71-year-old member of one of Germany's former royal families, proposed to be the country's new leader under a planned coup. They were united by a hatred for democracy, the state and community, Germany's interior minister said.
This is not just an assault on democracy and a coup d'etat, but also like attacking the energy grid
This is pure terrorism.
The group, called Reichsbürger, or Citizens of the Reich, is accused of plotting a violent takeover of Germany's parliament, the Reichstag, and restoring the German Empire. Among those arrested, a former far-right MP and current judge. A high-security operation across Germany taking down what authorities called a terrorist organisation. The German plotters are said to have been inspired by the same so-called deep state conspiracies that have driven the QAnon movement in the United States. One of the accused is believed to have reached out to Russia for help. In London, Hugh Whitfield, 7 News.
There's good news for job seekers, with thousands of Christmas positions on offer from some of the country's biggest brands. Businesses are looking to boost staff significantly, and customers are being urged to show patience.
A summer staffing struggle causing headaches ahead of the holidays.
We're looking at about 8,000 retail jobs on offer in Queensland at the moment.
Retail job vacancies have more than doubled in the past 3 years. Among the employers looking to fill their rosters, JB Hi-Fi, David Jones, Michael Hill and Lorna Jane.
Retailers are concerned naturally about filling all of these positions over the Christmas period, as it is the busiest time of year.
As school holidays saw closer, theme parks are also searching for staff.
Cleaning, F&B, some ride operations, some roles in our water park as well. So we've got a gamut of different roles out there.
From chefs to baristas and bartenders, more than 4,000 hospitality jobs are vacant in Queensland.
It's taken me probably 2 months to find anybody that's good at their job, baristas mainly, qualified baristas, and people that want to work. So yeah, it has been hard.
Restaurant and cafe owners already struggling to find staff are unlikely to fill their rosters before Christmas. The advice for customers, be patient when heading out this holiday season.
Just be polite, and we're all working hard over the Christmas period to make sure everyone's fed and caffeinated.
On the Gold Coast, Liam Bland, 7 News.
Parcel delivery scams targeting Christmas shoppers. Next, what to look out for so you don't get duped. Tradies ute goes up in flames at Windsor. Shark tracking off Queensland reveals a rare whale far from home. And Queensland's outback comes to life, the stunning desert bloom.
On Weekender, a paradise drenched in sunshine and sparkling seas. It's not in Queensland. Sunday, 5:30 on 7.
Checking finance, and the Australian share market has had its longest losing streak in 3 weeks. The ASX 200 dropping 53 points. Energy stocks plummeted. Invictus was down more than 6%. Integrated services company Downer Group shed more than 20% after it found accounting irregularities as far back as 2020. The Aussie dollar is buying 67 US cents and $1.05 New Zealand. The tradies ute has gone up in flames at Windsor after the brakes on his car failed in the Clem 7 tunnel. Shane Connolly had only been working with house washing heroes for 3 days.
Apparently there's a recall on those rodeos, something to do with electrical faults.
He and a co-worker were able to pull over and jump out of the car before it was engulfed. We're being warned tonight, Christmas is prime time for scammers, and they are active as never before. The Federal Police also sharing their best tips on protecting your hard-earned money.
Everybody loves Christmas, including online scammers targeting Aussies.
At Christmas time, it's an incredibly busy time for Australians, and it's also a busy time for cyber criminals.
And if you're expecting packages, look out for texts like this one telling you your delivery is delayed, but do not click on the link.
Because clicking on links could result in the provision of financial data and also the downloading of harmful malware.
Scammers have many devious means to get your money this festive season. Fake charities will tug at your heart and purse strings.
Pretending to be real ones, pretending to help the most vulnerable, but really just lining their pockets.
And hurting the charity's chances of getting much-needed real donations.
The problem with charitable scams is that they don't just hurt the individuals, they hurt the reputation of the charitable sector.
Another big one is the hi mum or dad texts. Jen Arishu got burnt badly thinking her son needed help.
Do you know what? I'm not very happy with myself.
The text told her he'd broken his phone and had a new number. He needed her to pay urgent bills, which, like any good mum, she did.
I'm one of the how many? Millions and millions.
To avoid being scammed this Christmas, here are the government's top tips. Never open suspicious emails. Just delete them. Do not click on links in texts or emails. Look for grammar or spelling mistakes. Never give credit card or bank details away, and report anything suspicious to Scamwatch. And keep your cash for splurging on loved ones this Christmas. Steve Hart, 7 News.
Targeted health warnings on bottles of booze could help us drink less, according to research out of the UK. A study found labels linking excessive alcohol consumption with heart failure and bleeding on the brain could discourage binge drinking. Labels with pictures similar to the ones found on cigarette packets were particularly effective. It's a beautiful, rare spectacle. Wildflowers are blanketing entire fields and desert dunes in Queensland's outback. There are flashes of yellow, pink, purple and white. Locals in Quilpie say it's the best season they've seen in 6 years. For decades, we've been told to drink 2 litres of water a day, but those myths have been busted. Tonight, how much we really need and how to stay hydrated and healthy. The new advice is just ahead on 7 News. And Katie's here now with sport. A bit of drama at Adelaide on day one.
Yeah, on and off the field. Max, hello everyone. A Queenslander gets a shock call up as David Warner fallout continues. Plus a 7 exclusive, a big contract for one of the Lions' biggest players. And an injury scare for another Broncos rep star. David Warner's controversial captaincy call has failed to free the opener's mind, again falling cheaply against the West Indies. Day one of the pink ball test in Adelaide has so far belonged to the Queenslanders. Usman Khawaja and Marnus Labuschagne put on 95 after Warner could only manage 21, while a Bulls paceman got a shot call up. Changes and controversy. Michael Neser and Scott Boland in for the injured Josh Hazlewood and Pat Cummins. The coin face up for stand-in skipper Steve Smith.
We're going to have a bat.
Cue the Dave Warner leadership debacle, abandoning his bid for a lifetime captaincy ban to be lifted for Sandpaper Gate. Warner blasted Cricket Australia last night in an 800-word statement. Today, the opener's bat started talking.
Width on offer. Warner jumped him all over it for 4.
Top scorer in pink ball tests.
What a shot that is.
Boasting 700 plus runs, something special beckoned. But on 21, that bat was silenced.
Oh, can you believe it?
Plenty on that mind. Carefree. A cool as Usman Khawaja clocking over 1,000 runs for the calendar year. A 19th half-century. More bowling woes for the Windies. On debut, Markeno Mindley sent for scans on an injured hamstring. But the woes swiftly flipped in favour of the visitors. Khawaja refused to accept without review.
Impact in line. Wicket is umpire's call. Stay with your original decision.
Usman unwilling, out on 62. In comes skipper Smith, the hip-heeled and hyped to be Australia's hero. Enter Jason Holder.
He's got him, cotton bowled. Smith gone for a duck.
His apprentice holding down the fort for now.
It's his 14th Test 50. Marnus Labuschagne is in glorious form this summer.
But the Windies are making an early statement in Adelaide. 7 News can reveal the Lions have offered key forward Eric Hipwood the club's longest contract in almost 3 decades. In a move to keep the premiership window jammed open, the Sunshine Coast product will be in the den until the end of 2029. He spoke exclusively to Ben Davis.
Here for another 7 years.
Yeah, it's exciting. I mean, it's a great place to be. It's this new facility. You want to be able to curate elite habits and be able to have an elite environment like this, and it's pretty special.
Special, but the $80 million Lions Den, not the biggest reason Eric Hipwood agreed to Brisbane's longest deal since Alistair Lynch signed for 10 years.
It's rare to get a contract that long. It's a good show of faith.
It is. I mean, the support that they showed me through my ACL, it's fantastic, and I jumped at it, to be honest.
Why wouldn't you when your teammates are best mates? The Lions Academy at 13, he debuted at 18. Now 25, the homegrown talent's a big part of Brisbane's resurgence.
A lot of us were here when the club sort of got turned on its end, so to watch it be on the bottom of the ladder to a club that's probably expected to win every week, it's pretty special.
He's always looking at ways to get better as a person and as a player, and I think we saw signs of that at the final series. He really stood up in big games.
For goal number 4.
Davis part of a double team to help Hippie shake even more, switching from the Lions' defensive coach to up front.
I've learned what the best forwards do, and hopefully I can bring that to our own forward line, and probably what the defenders don't necessarily like either.
The other ex-Hawk, now Lion, Jack Gunston.
It's good to see him up close and learn little things from him. Nice little career, Jack. He's got 3 premierships and he's played some with pretty handy players.
He's hoping that'll soon be 4. Ben Davis, 7 News.
Another injury scare has rocked Red Hill. Payne Haas failed to finish the Broncos training session, going down with an ankle problem. The prop will be monitored, along with Adam Reynolds, who earlier in the week also went down with an ankle injury. Corey Paix downplayed his teammates' woes, but found his fighting words for competing hooker Billy Walters.
I want to make it public that I want to fight for the jersey, and I want the 9 jersey. So, we'll go head to head, and it's going to come down to whoever trains the hardest and comes out and performs and delivers on game day.
Injuries and form restricted the 22-year-old to 13 games last season. Tough questions weren't the only issue for Brazil World Cup star Vinicius Jr. at his media conference. He laughed off the feline intrusion, the team's media manager not so amused, grabbing the cat by the scruff of the neck and throwing it off the table. Thankfully, the cat was unharmed. Cameron Smith's coach has fired the warning to the rest of the world, declaring the British Open champ can get even better next year. Today, the world number 3 was giving back, hosting the Cameron Smith Junior Classic at his home club of Wantima. If Generation Next was impressed by 5 titles this year, wait for 2023.
Unless your name's Tiger Woods, you don't usually have years like that. But I think he's still got improvement in him. So there's no reason, as long as he keeps doing the work, that he can't get better.
I think we've got a pretty good blueprint. I think we just need to keep doing everything, that 1% better. And, as long as I'm still waking up wanting to be a better golfer, I think I can do it.
But it's sleep-ins on the menu from tomorrow, starting holidays. And Max, that is well deserved.
I always wake up wanting to be a better golfer. Hasn't happened.
Same.
Thanks, Katie. A team of marine scientists studying the Great Barrier Reef has discovered a rare whale usually only seen off the coast of Africa. The project has released astonishing video of their expedition as they learn more about giants of the deep.
A sight as rare as it is beautiful. The majestic Amura's whale plotting a course through the warm waters of the Great Barrier Reef, where it's never been seen before.
So the only other known aggregation site is in Madagascar.
The team from BioPixel's Megamouth project was astounded to find the whale 10,000 kilometres from home.
They're a stunning animal. They have the most amazing markings on their bodies.
The Amura discovery was just one part of the project, which is studying so-called upwelling events, which bring colder waters from the depths to the shallows of the reef. That meant a rendezvous with another ocean giant, the whale shark, but they had to find them first.
That's like looking for a needle in a haystack.
We might get you to go a bit higher and do some wider orbits.
Once the plane spots a whale shark, a drone is deployed to get footage. A creature so docile, researchers could even swim close and attach a tracker to its dorsal fin.
Yes! Woo! We got the tag on, it went on really well.
The GPS trackers are revealing the secret lives of whale sharks.
These animals move large distances. They could go anywhere.
PNG, Asia, across the Pacific. When they return, these researchers will be waiting.
The East Coast of Australia is this black hole, basically, in the global research.
Secrets of the deep slowly being revealed. Georgia Holland, 7 News.
Now let's take a look at what's on Sunrise tomorrow.
Thanks, Max. Tomorrow on Sunrise, the world reacts to the Harry and Meghan story.
We unpack every bombshell, every shocking revelation and what it means for the royal family.
Plus, Meghan's sister, Samantha Markle, joins us live with her take, her only TV interview. See you in the morning, Queensland.
How much water should we be drinking? Why, what we've been told for decades might be wrong. Details ahead.
And the storms are clearing with a cooler change on the way. I'll have the forecast coming up next.
For years, we've been told we should strive to drink 8 cups of H2O a day. But what if we told you that trusted medical advice doesn't hold water? A new study has all but debunked the theory and floated a new one.
In the struggle to stay hydrated, how much water do we actually need? 8 glasses a day, an oft-heard expression, being watered down by new research.
Because I don't meet that. Do you? No. Nowhere near.
That nutritional information is from 1945.
More than 90 researchers analysed the water intake of almost 6,000 people, finding the recommended 2 litres a day is actually more than most need.
It's actually quite complicated, and what everyone needs differs according to who you are, your state in life, what you're doing.
Hot and humid climates, altitude, exercise, pregnancy and breastfeeding also require extra H2O, but a lot of the water we need we're already eating.
Zucchini, cucumber, celery, lettuce, all those kind of really water-dense vegetables and fruits.
The best and simplest approach is, if you're thirsty, drink some water. And while you might not need 8 glasses, it's important to stay hydrated, particularly during summer and the upcoming festive celebrations.
You do become dehydrated if you're drinking a lot of alcohol, so it's important to mix them up with some non-alcoholic drinks, which we'd advise anyway.
Amber Laidler, 7 News.
Now to the next finalist in the 7 News KISS 97.3 Christmas Lights competition. 211 Benheim Street, Callum Vale has something for everyone. A rainbow corner for the LGBTQ+ community, a dino display for the passionate paleontologists, and a nod to some of our favourite festive flicks. The Durrington family has won 2 local competitions, but decided to go bigger and better this year by entering KISS FM's competition. To vote, you can go to KISS 97.3 win page for your chance to win $1,000. Weather now, Tony, a restless night for many people in the southeast.
Yes, Mags, rumbles of thunder would have kept many people awake for at least part of the night, and this was one of those storms shot from Burnside on the Sunshine Coast. A big thanks to James Robinson for sending it in. Now here's how those overnight storms looked from above. Waves of thunderstorms sweeping in from the west, bringing those bursts of heavy rain and strong winds, cutting power, and of course that spectacular and loud show of thunder and lightning. It all cleared just after sunrise before another round of severe storms, mostly over the Sunshine Coast today. Hail up to 8 centimetres. That's close to cricket ball size, reported in some parts. This evening, those storms are clearing to the north, but we do still have a few cells around Gympie and Noosa. Checking the temperatures, and the battle lines were drawn across the southeast. Hot westerly winds against those cooler sea breezes, and the sea breezes had a bit of a wind. Tops in the high 20s on the coast. Brisbane reached 29.8, rounded to 30 here. That's well below the forecast. Ipswich still pushed up to 37. Now here's a change of pace. While we were hot, snow has been falling in parts of Tasmania and Victoria today. Just a light dusting here at Mount Donabeewang, but still pretty impressive for December. Looking ahead, we start to get more of an influence from that cooler air mass down south from tonight. A southerly wind change moves along the coast here, bringing that significant drop in temperatures. Around the nation, dry for Sydney and Canberra tomorrow. Partly cloudy, 26 in Adelaide for the second day of the cricket. Back to northern Queensland, staying hot and mostly sunny. 33 the top for Townsville and Mackay. Heading south, a lingering shower or storm around the ranges for the Capricornia. That could affect Rockhampton, 34 degrees there. Otherwise dry, 29 in Maryborough. Across the southeast, staying warm tonight, then we'll feel that cooler change from tomorrow. More cloud, possible shower around the Gold and Sunshine coasts, and those top temperatures back in the mid to high 20s across the suburbs, 25 for Sandgate and Manly. Boaties, south-southeasterlies up to 25 knots on Moreton Bay early, then easing in the afternoon. So in Brisbane, a partly cloudy Friday ahead, 20 up to just 26 degrees. That is a bit of a change. And looking ahead, staying in the 20s into Saturday and Sunday. Sunny amongst some patchy cloud, just a possible shower on Saturday. In Ipswich, back to the 30s from Sunday, up to 35 on Monday with a possible late storm. Gold Coasters, also stormy from late Monday and possible again into Tuesday. And on the Sunshine Coast, a pleasant weekend. I think you'll miss the storms on Monday, but they will be more likely on Tuesday. But for now, Max, cooler and more settled tomorrow.
Here's to that. All right, thanks for that, Tony. And that's all from us this Thursday. Thanks for your company. Have a good night.
Stream 7 News anywhere, anytime, live and on demand on 7plus. And with 7news.com.au, you'll know the news now.